Fresh off their national championship last year, the UCF Knights look to finish off another undefeated season with a win over another SEC powerhouse in LSU. Head coach Josh Heupel puts the nation's longest winning streak on the line tomorrow, hoping to duplicate last year's Peach Bowl result.
Any bowl game you're playing in, it's unique in that this will be the last time that this team will ever be together on the football field. I do think that they're excited about the opportunity to go compete and play together one more time, run out of that tunnel together and go play ball.
UCF Road to the Fiesta Bowl, presented by Florida Hospital, starts now.
Well, it's usually pretty dry and hot. It's raining today. The plants will kill you if you sit on them, but the Knights seem to enjoy their trips to Arizona, and they have one day left to make the most out of this one. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Kepner. This is the UCF Road to the Fiesta Bowl presented by Florida Hospital, and the last time that the Knights played in Phoenix, it was the biggest win in program history. We're here to see if they can do that again, because they just keep raising that bar. And Christian Bruey is back in Orlando. Christian, happy New Year's Eve to you, good sir.
Yes, happy almost New Year's, Joe. We've got a great show lined up for the fans at home to get you ready for tomorrow's Fiesta Bowl between the Knights and Tigers. We'll, of course, break down the matchup, but also dive into some of the more fun stories from off the field with this UCF program. But for right now, I'm going to send it back out to you, Joe.
Well, I'm looking forward to it all. And yes, let's start with Ohana. It's a word that UCF fans have heard a lot lately, and it's not just a fun hashtag for this group. This team is made up of players that have come together, been recruited by 3 different coaching staffs, but somehow they've managed to form one remarkably successful football family. The 12-0 Knights held 3 practices here this week, fine-tuning their game plan for the Fiesta Bowl. Defensive coordinator Randy Shannon said they're going to do some new things in this game, but mostly stick with the formations and attacks that got them this far. On offense, it's all about Darryl Mack Jr. The true freshman showed tremendous poise, throwing 2 touchdowns and rushing for 4 more in a comeback win against Memphis in the AAC championship game. And he's got weapons all over the field with him. 13 different Knights have scored touchdowns this season. Head coach Josh Heupel says they'll need all of them to be involved against LSU.
I think this game is all about the intangibles, and you need talent, absolutely. But championship football teams, in games like this, I think it comes down to your ability to handle adversity, to focus on the things that matter, which come from leadership from within the locker room. Championship seasons are special because of the character that you have inside of your locker room.
UCF has the 5th highest scoring offense in the land this year. LSU is 41st in that category, but they're still a 7-point favorite in this game, mostly because the Tigers are loaded with potential NFL talent on defense. Now, LSU does have some injuries and players skipping this game, but not Devin White. The linebacker will be a first-round NFL draft pick and a major obstacle for that Knights offense. But UCF has scored over 30 points in every game on this 25-game win streak, including 34 against Auburn in the Peach Bowl last year. So the Tigers will need to put points on the board if they don't want to let UCF beat an SEC team for the 2nd year in a row.
Obviously, they're a really good team. You don't just fall backwards into a streak like that. But, you don't want to be part of that streak. And, we've been working hard to kind of end it. But, it's going to be tough and it's going to be a tall task. When you think of UCF, you think of just speed and offense, but they have some really good defensive line players and linebackers, and they're more physical than you think.
Now, a quarterback who is not playing usually is not one of the biggest stories during a bowl week, but Mackenzie Milton has been everywhere. Not literally. We haven't seen him since he stepped off the plane, but we were told he has been at all the team activities and watching practice from a golf cart. Milton has already had multiple surgeries to repair the nerves in his dislocated knee, and he still has several more to come to repair all the ligaments, but his head coach says he is confident that Milton will play football again, and the entire team says his contribution this week has been invaluable.
That means a lot for us, man. That's our brother, and he's always been there for us, and we've always been there for him. It's a win-win. Just having him here, having him in our presence, having his encouraging words, on the sideline or whether that's in the locker room, wherever, and just for him to be out here, him to make that sacrifice for us. it's a great deal.
He's a big part of who and what we are as a program. He's been a leader for us since I got here in January. He was a big part of creating the buy-in. Him inside of our meeting room has been beneficial to DJ, to Quadri, and to Hayden. He's had some impact on the game plan and as far as what we're doing schematically. He's been engaged, been involved in the process. And then him being able to be out here and sharing this experience is important because he's a big part of our success this season.
And while Milton has been on the mend, like we've said, it will be Darryl Mack Jr.'s job to orchestrate this offense, and the redshirt freshman has been taking ownership of that unexpected role. Mack has already had to make 2 starts this season and finish the game against South Florida after Milton was injured. He's completed 40 of 70 passes for 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, but he also has the 4th most rushing yards on the team and 6 rushing touchdowns, 4 of them in the comeback win in the conference championship game. Fortunately for Mack, he won't have to do it all himself. The Knights have rushed for 276 yards per game. That's the 5th most in college football. Sophomore running back Greg McCray owns 1,100 of those yards. It's not bad for a guy who was a walk-on just last year. We had a chance to go one-on-one with McCray over the weekend. Big bowl trip. This team's been through a lot this year. What does it mean to be here at the Fiesta Bowl and have a chance to go up against LSU?
It's a great accomplishment for this team, being a 3rd New Year's Six Bowl in 6 years. It shows that we're an elite team. So just being able to be here is just, something that we really like.
And especially where this program has come from, going 0-12 to, bowl game after bowl game, and then the big win over Auburn last year. Is there still something that this team has to prove, though?
Yes, sir. We haven't, made it to the college playoffs yet, so we still feel like we have we have to go out there and have something to prove, but we just look forward to the opportunity to play against this team. They was once a college football playoff team, so being able to go out there, hopefully get this win and, play another one with my brothers.
And your journey, your personal journey on this team from where you came from and to becoming a 1,000-yard back and a feature on this dynamic offense, what has that been like for you? How difficult has that been, that journey?
It's been a pretty tough one. It was a hard road. It was days I even doubted myself, but I had guys like Taj McGowan who helped me move along. He's been there with me day one. Adrian Killings, those guys are my brothers. The whole running back room, Bentavious Thompson, Otis Anderson. I go on all day, and in the end, it ended up working out and getting a scholarship.
You say there were moments though where it was pretty hard, and you needed other guys to lift you up. What was one of those moments, or the toughest moment on that whole thing?
Just every day. Going through, of course I wanted the scholarship, spending money out of pockets, having to pay for food. Sometimes money got a little scarce here and there. So for them to be able to help me out and motivate me and things like that, it just kept me motivated to just keep pushing.
Are you guys going to have something special, a little bit of a surprise for LSU in this game, or is it going to be the same type of attack we've seen previously?
We don't change up. We play our game how we play it. We do what we do on offense, and the defense do what they do, and we game plan, they game plan. We just take what they give us.
Adrian Killins said last year before the Peach Bowl that Auburn was in for a rude awakening, I think was the words that he used. Do you think LSU understands what you guys bring to the table, or do you think they're going to be caught off guard a little bit too by your speed and abilities?
I think they'll be ready, but they got speed on their defense too. Watching the film, they've had great speed over there. They're big, strong, smart guys. So they got a good combination of a very stout defense. They can play with the best of them. So it's going to be a really good game.
McCray is the first UCF running back to go over 1,000 yards since Storm Johnson did it in 2013. If you remember, that was the season that they came here and beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. Now let's go back to Orlando and give Christian Bruey something to do. Hey, Christian, what about the punter?
Well, Joe, punters are usually the forgotten man on a football team. They don't score touchdowns. They don't even kick field goals. And they only take the field when a drive stalls. But UCF punter Mac Loudermilk, as you can see, is different. He's become a cult hero with the Knights, thanks to his hair, his beard, and his post-punt celebrations.
He may only be a punter, but he's also one of the most famous players on UCF's team.
It's not often a punter gets featured on College Game Day, but ESPN's award-winning show spent nearly as much time talking about Loudermilk as they did star quarterback Mackenzie Milton.
No punter celebrates in college football like that kid.
While the celebrations are special, it's the flowing locks that have made him recognizable. During Loudermilk's 5 years at UCF, he has undergone a transformation similar to what we saw when Forrest Gump went for a run across the country.
I originally started growing it out my freshman year, but I didn't know there was a rule with O'Leary that the hair couldn't touch your collar. And so I had to go get it cut, and then once Frost came in, I started growing out again. So it's been growing now for right around 2.5 years. And so I was going to donate it earlier on in the season, but we kept winning, and I thought it was kind of like a good luck token.
So after the Fiesta Bowl, Loudermilk is pledged to cut it all off and donate it to Locks of Love, a charity that uses donated hair to make wigs for children who have lost their hair due to various medical conditions.
I had 2 relatives go through cancer and go through chemo and everything, and I just saw them kind of lose their personality along with losing their hair. They became a shell of themselves. And if I can do one thing just to brighten up somebody's day or to make somebody's self-esteem grow a little bit, then I'll always do that.
Awesome gesture. And now what makes Loudermilk's fame even more surprising is the fact that he barely punts. Thanks to UCF's high-powered offense, Loudermilk only averaging 3.4 punts per game, which is one of the lowest averages in the country. All right, coming up, Joe and I will break down the biggest storyline heading into tomorrow's showdown between UCF and LSU. You're watching The Road to the Fiesta Bowl, presented by Florida Hospital.
The Knights are in the desert for the 10th bowl game in program history, their 3rd New Year's Six bowl game in the last 6 years, and their 2nd trip to the Fiesta Bowl. Welcome back, everyone. This is The Road to the Fiesta Bowl, presented by Florida Hospital, and there's no doubt that the Knights are happy to be here at the Fiesta Bowl, but there's also no doubt that they would rather have been in the college football playoffs. Let's bring Christian Bruey back in now. And Christian, you were with the team when they went to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta last year, so how should this team feel about once again being undefeated and once again being left out of the top 4?
Well, Joe, I think they're happy that they got a free PlayStation. They're happy that they're enjoying a week with their brothers, as they've said, and they get a chance to knock off another big, bad SEC school in LSU. But let's be honest, when we were talking back in August, we thought there was no chance this team goes undefeated again and gets left out of the college football playoff. But with what happened throughout the course of the year, they were left out. So, yeah, I think that's going to be motivation for the Knights when they take on the Tigers tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Now, Joe, one of the biggest impact players we're all going to have our eye on is Darryl Mack. You touched on it moments ago in this show, but what are your expectations for him against the defense in LSU that does have Dave Aranda, the highest paid defensive coordinator, calling the shots?
Well, they recruited Darryl Mack to come in here and be the quarterback of the future after Mackenzie Milton was done. And they recruited him because he is such a dynamic player. Remember, it was Scott Frost that wanted him to run his offense, and Josh Heupel seems perfectly comfortable having Darryl Mack run his offense. And even though he is a redshirt freshman and has only made 2 other starts this year, he does seem exceptionally calm and prepared for this game, and it doesn't seem like it's just an act. His entire team has said that he is just as he presents himself on camera, and that he is absolutely just calm enough to handle the pressure that comes with this game. So if all of that is true and he can make the same plays that he was able to make in the conference championship game, I think LSU is going to have their hands full with this kid.
Yeah, and Joey has a coach who's played in, or actually coached in this Fiesta Bowl before. He's played in a big game, in a national championship game. So your thoughts on Josh Heupel and how he's helped Darryl Mack and how he's done overall this year?
Well, what can't you say about Josh Heupel and the job that he's done? When you come into a job and the bar is undefeated national champions, that's pretty hard to live up to. And there was a lot of pressure on him to not let this program take a step backward. And for them to come into this game now 12-0 and have a legitimate shot at beating LSU in the Fiesta Bowl, that says so much about what Josh Heupel was able to do in getting these kids to buy in to what he wanted to do with this program, and how he was able to bring in a handful of his recruits and have them work so well with the recruits and the players that were already here, including Darryl Mack Jr., and to have him as prepared as he was for the conference championship game and to step in for Mackenzie Milton, which was a huge loss for this team. Again, I think it shows just how exceptional Josh Heupel is as a coach and as a leader for these kids.
All right, LSU, are they motivated? That was the knock last year when UCF took down the Auburn Tigers. You've been out there all week. Talk to some LSU players. Do they seem motivated?
They absolutely do. And if we remember, it was never the Auburn players or the coaches that said that they weren't motivated for that game. It was only fans. And fans like to make excuses when their team loses. We all know that. But every single player here for LSU has said that they absolutely do not want to be the 26th win on UCF's win streak. They want to end that win streak. They want to end the conversation of UCF being one of the best programs in the country because they believe in the SEC and they believe that they have the talent to do that. And so I don't think there is a lack of motivation for this team to get to 10 wins and to finish their year strong, even though there are some players that are injured and they do have a couple players skipping this game. I think the guys who will be here will absolutely be motivated for this game.
One more thing, we've heard a lot from Danny White and now actually more commissioners pushing for playoff expansion. How soon do you think we see it?
Well, if you believe school president Dale Whitaker, we're going to see it sometime within the next 2 years. I'm not so sure that that's going to happen. We've also heard from bowl officials that say that it's not going to happen until 2026 when the current contract runs out. Maybe it'll be sometime between 2 years and 2026, but it certainly can't happen soon enough for me. And all right, so we'll have Christian back a little later when we make our picks for the Fiesta Bowl, but right now we're going to give you a few minutes to go pop some popcorn, and when we come back, University President Dale Whitaker, we just mentioned him, talks about the impact this game can have on the entire UCF community. We got 12 weeks of undefeated football, all leading up to a New Year's Six bowl game for the Knights. You're watching the Road to the Fiesta Bowl presented by Florida Hospital. The Valley of the Sun is beautiful no matter where you're standing, but from 6,000 feet it is truly a work of art, and we know that because we took a hot air balloon ride over Phoenix. Welcome back to the Road to the Fiesta Bowl presented by Florida Hospital, and yeah, we took that balloon ride just for fun, but it was also an opportunity to get to know another part of UCF's extended football family. 4 members of the UCF Mom Squad were kind enough to go up there with us. Half the adventure was just getting the massive balloon off the ground, but the crew at Hot Air Balloon Expeditions made sure we were headed for the clouds, and 300,000 cubic feet of air lifting us gently over the mountains, giving us a view more than 100 miles in any direction. As for the Mom Squad, Annette Gibson, Jennifer Jackson, Keisha Johnson, and Harriet Roberson were all first-time balloonists, and we talked about their sons trying to finish off a second straight undefeated season, but also the Mom Squad itself, a reflection of how close the team has become.
Well, you know, as a mother, it's always difficult to watch your kids go through anything, but we have a strong set of boys, and they persevered with no problem.
And what's this season been like for all of you? A little bit stressful, I'm guessing, at times?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's awesome. Yeah, 1-0.
We're more than just football moms. We're family, we're sisterhood, and we love each other. So that, to me, that's warming in itself. It's very welcoming, and it's just more to UCF than just football.
The Mom Squad travels to every game. They also organize their own charity events. Several members, including Daryl Mack's mother, were at Arizona Helping Hands this morning, volunteering for an organization that helps foster kids and families looking to adopt them. And University President Dale Whitaker was also at that event. He's a rookie president, just 6 months on the job. We had a chance to talk with him, though, about the landscape of college football and how athletic director Danny White is trying to change it all.
I don't think there's anybody better. I've got to say, I used to say he was the best young athletic director in the country. I'd say he's the best athletic director in the country. He's fantastic.
And he comes from a good family, too, of athletic directors.
And he comes from a deep family of athletic directors, and they're all good and all high quality, high integrity, and they care about people and family.
Are you on board with everything that he's said and done and pushing for conference expansion or playoff expansion and pushing UCF forward that way?
I am. I absolutely am. When I think what you're starting to see is his initiative to get the conversation going about college football playoff expansion is now getting picked up by other commissioners, other presidents. You're starting to hear a different spin on it on the media, national media. I think that ball is starting to roll downhill, but I give Danny White a lot of credit for pushing the ball off a top dead center.
And back on your campus, there's facilities are being improved, it seems like, every year. The baseball stadium went up. You're going to have a lazy river soon. Danny White has at least mentioned the possibility of expanding the stadium in the future. Where is all this going, and how quickly can all of that get done?
It is moving quickly, and it's moving at the pace of philanthropy. And what we're seeing is that our donors just continue to step up with their generosity. What that does is it makes us even more competitive for talent. And things like this, bowl games like this, just really cement the donors to the quality of this program and to the quality of the American Conference and the Power Six.
Do you get to be the first person in the lazy river?
Oh, I hope so. I'm going to be tailgating in there.
UCF will receive $4 million just for playing in the Fiesta Bowl, and the conference is renegotiating their TV deal next year, so another New Year's Six bowl win certainly couldn't hurt. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Road to the Fiesta Bowl, presented by Florida Hospital. If you don't own a TV, well, you're probably not watching this, but you don't have to miss any of the Fiesta Bowl between UCF and LSU. Our radio friends will have the call on News 96.5. Then at the same time, over on ESPN 580, the VRBO Citrus Bowl between Penn State and Kentucky. And if you're going to be parked on your couch, here's what you're going to need to do. Convince your significant other that you need 2 televisions in the living room on New Year's Day, one for UCF and one for the Citrus Bowl here on Channel 9. Both games kick off at 1 o'clock. And as promised, Christian Bruey's now back, and he has a prediction for the games tomorrow. Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, too many distractions, too many players sitting out for LSU. Give me UCF 31-30.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It's going to be a little bit cold. That stadium doesn't have a heater, but I'm sure it'll warm up once that offense gets going. I think UCF's going to win again. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Enjoy the games tomorrow.